Hi, my name is Charlotte Keuchel. I'm a clinical herbalist and nutrition consultant with Eat in Peace Wellness Consulting, and today I'm really excited to show you my homemade pecan nut milk. So it took me years to make my own nut milk until Amanda Love, who's a friend and colleague of mine, she calls herself the Barefoot Cook. She has amazing resources on her website. I went to one of her classes and she showed me how to make it, which is what has inspired me to do these videos and actually demonstrate how to make some of these foods. Because the nut milks in grocery stores are really of poor quality for the most part. There's a few good ones, but no matter what you buy at the store, what you make at home is going to be a lot better. So with the store-bought nut milk, there's a ton of fillers, a ton of additives, and it just lacks the taste that I'm going to show you that we can have with something that's made by you. So what we're going to start out with here is our Vitamix pecans. So these pecans came from Sandy Creek Farms. We buy them from a little old man who's always sitting at the Barton Creek Farmers Market. He's a Jim. So 2 cups of pecans we're going to start with. And these are beautiful enough to use on cookies, but we're going to grind them up into an amazing milk. Then you need 4 cups of water. So once again, that's 2 cups of nuts to 4 cups of water. And the thing I could say is that, you know, if you're on a budget or you have a big family or you go through a lot of this, then stretch it out. Do 2 cups of nuts and 6 cups of water. You can play with it. And if you want something super thick and creaming, you can even go with 2 cups of nuts and 3 cups of water for something a little bit denser. Really good that way as well. So that's all you need to do. Is put these things in your blender and then you're going to blend it up. And then I like to crank it down and then crank it back up again. All right, so I think that that is going to be good enough. Now, the next thing I do here is I take my glass jar and I put a pinch of sea salt in. And you always want sea salt for the full mineral profile. And it just makes it taste really good. And then I've got my homemade vanilla extract here, which I'm sure at some point I will show you how to make because I keep talking about it. This is half of a tablespoon. So this is a teaspoon and a half of vanilla. You could put more or less. You don't even have to measure it. I just like to. So this can just sit to the side until you're ready to make your final product. And in the meantime, what you want to do is get your nut milk bag and a glass jar. Now, I highly recommend doing this in a large Pyrex because when you squeeze the nut milk, it tends to splatter. So if you do it in a smaller container, you can. It's just a little annoying. So here we have this. And what you want to make sure of is that you really pour everything directly into the bag like that. Every now and again there's a crisis when the nut milk bag moves a little bit. I think I bought this nut milk bag from a company called Natural Zing online, but I know you can buy them at Whole Foods. You can just Google it and probably find it anywhere. So you can see all that yummy milk coming out of there. And when you taste what's left behind, it just tastes like fiber, right? So all the magnificent flavor, you know, pecans are very rich in flavor, buttery nut. All of that flavor comes out in the milk. So I thought I would tell you a story while I squeeze this nut milk bag. This can be a little bit of a meditative experience. So my story is this. I want to tell you about where Eat in Peace came from. So when I was growing up, our phone number at our house was 342-8878. And Sonic, the fast food restaurant, was one number off. I think it was like 342-8788 or something of that nature. So my family would sit down for dinner, you know, 5:36 every night. My mom was a good cook. I learned from someone. And the phone would ring, okay? Because somebody would misdial, and it would be somebody wanting to place a Sonic order. And depending on how many toddies my dad had with dinner, he would answer the phone and actually take their order. because this went on for years, right? So as a kid, I thought that that was really funny. Like, Dad, they're going to go and they're not going to have their food. And he would just laugh. But my mom, on the other hand, every time that phone would ring, would say, why can't we just eat in peace? And so that stuck with me. Well, fast forward to when I had a number of health concerns and I started looking at my diet. And I was studying nutrition out in California at a school, and I was putting together a presentation. And I was designing a poster, because I didn't know what PowerPoint was back then, so I was doing everything by hand. And I realized that the plates that I was drawing on my poster looked like a peace sign. And so what I recommend people do is that when they look at their plate, they set it up like a peace sign. So you have a serving of unstarchy leafy green vegetables or squashes or whatever floats your boat, next to a good slice of steak, some sort of meat, chicken, some sort of protein. And then another one of the smaller parts of the peace sign is designated for good quality fats. So maybe you eat a fatty piece of meat, or maybe you put butter all over your broccoli, or maybe you put butter on your steak and your broccoli, or whatever that looks like. And then the other small quadrant of the peace sign would be starchy vegetables, something like sauerkraut or kimchi to support your digestion. And here I am talking, and I have splattered this nut milk everywhere. So here we are at the final throes of the nut milk. And you can see all of this amazing yumminess that came out, and your hands are so soft after you finish squeezing this. So I think that's about it here for today with this milk. So we're going to set it aside. I'm going to give my hands a quick wipe. And now we are going to gently pour this yumminess in here. And we did this perfectly. Look at that. A perfect quart of homemade pecan milk. We're going to shake it up, get that vanilla, get that salt in there. And you could also, if you're so inspired, put a little bit of maple syrup. I don't, but you could. So now we're going to have a little taste. It's good. Eat in peace.